Regressamos para a segunda parte do evento CX Summit 2026 e vamos abordar o tema The Great Myths of Customer Centricity. O orador é Horst Ems, Managing Partner da OneStone Bélgica. Mas antes, uma intervenção de Ladislau Batalha.
Claro. Boa tarde, bem-vindos depois do almoço. Novo patinho. A pedido de novo pato, a pedido do Samuel. Aliás, nem vejo o Samuel. Se calhar foi comer pato. Bem, vamos começar. We are going to restart after lunch, so we have this second part of the day with amazing contents. I'd like first to welcome Horst. Horst, we never say your name correctly, right? I have the same problem, so don't worry. I'm Ladislau, so everybody calls me a lot of different stuff. So please join us. So Horst, is already, I think you're already annoyed for me saying this all the time, but it's the truth. So last year, or 1 year and a half ago, it's when I met Horst for the first time. And the work he does really impressed me a lot because it's about the myths. Sometimes we are so involved in what we are doing that we put even things on the words, on the mouth, or on the intents of the customers that they don't really need it, or they are not even chasing it. So the myths is something that change also the way I think about a lot of things. So it is for us a huge honor and pleasure to have Horst with us in this event, bringing all the knowledge that he has about all these that we are living in, okay? Thank you so much, Horst, for joining us.
Thanks for raising the bar for me.
Okay, that's all. That's what you do.
All right. Let me find, like, is there a clicker? Ah, okay, fantastic. Hello, good afternoon. Now, because of my work as a management consultant, I speak to a lot of different companies. And almost without exception, those companies have done efforts to improve the customer experience. And what they tell me is that most of those efforts have failed. Isn't that strange? That most of the efforts we do to do something really simple, right? We just want to provide a good service to a customer. Humanity has been doing that for thousands of years. And now, in large corporations, we don't succeed in doing that anymore. Isn't that strange? Now, obviously, there's more than one reason why it doesn't happen, but one reason in particular is extremely interesting to us. And that's what I'd like to talk about, because what I see is that managers hold beliefs that are false, and therefore they make decisions that do not work. And it's those beliefs that I call the myths of customer centricity, and with your permission, that's what we talk about in the next half hour. Okay? Now, while we're doing that, I also have two mysteries to solve. I will solve them along the way, all right? We'll solve them together. The first mystery I want to introduce to you is about an airline. It's called Southwest Airlines, an American low-cost airline. Now, what is specific about them is they have the highest customer satisfaction scores in the world, in their industry, by explicitly not doing what their customers are asking. There is some opportunity in that, isn't there? Right? We can learn something from that. So that's the first mystery. Why is that? And the second mystery is about a company that is originally from Belgium. It's over or almost 100 years old. And a year ago, or a year before you see them in this picture, They were not doing so well. They had a fantastic attitude. Their staff was really trying to make customers happy, but their customer satisfaction scores were not that high. They had a between 10 and 20 NPS score, and that frustrated them. And here you see them on the stage of the International Customer Experience Awards. It's like the Oscars of customer experience. And they won the award for Best Business Transformation. Quite a prestigious award. And within a year. And that is because within that year they had increased their Net Promoter Score with 50 points. So 50 points. So they ended between 60 and 70. Now, they did that really. The basis was one decision. And so the mystery I'd like to solve with you is, what was that decision? What was the decision they've taken? Okay? Are you with me on that one? Okay, so let's go to the first myth I'd like to discuss. We have time for two, and this is the first. This is customer centricity is living up to customers' expectations. Now, I've done a survey among managers 2 years ago, and I saw that 60% of the managers that filled out the survey agreed with this statement. So they said, yeah, I agree with the statement that customer centricity is living up or even exceeding customer expectations. And I already told you, I think it's a myth. So you know I don't agree with that statement. Now, let's maybe research a bit why that is. Okay? Let's say you are visiting a foreign city and you've been walking all morning. And at noon, everybody is hangry. Do you know that feeling? Okay. You enter a restaurant, you sit down at the table, but in the first half hour you're sitting there, staff has passed your table, but nobody has given you any recognition that they've seen you. Nobody has come up to wait on you or to take your order or even to say, I'll come to you in a minute. Okay? Now think about yourself. What does that do with your satisfaction about that restaurant? Maybe if your satisfaction is now going down, raise your hand, please. Okay, I think we all agree. Okay, thanks very much. I will show you a picture of the restaurant. This is the restaurant I'm talking about. So, that means if I do a survey at the exit of a restaurant, everybody would be extremely unhappy, because if you go there and sit at a table, nobody will come and wait at your table, right? Is that true? Well, obviously, I've tricked you. I've tricked you. And I may do that again during this talk, and you will probably fall for it again. Is that because you're less intelligent than anybody else? No, it's because you're human. What we do as humans is, I didn't give you the context. That's how I tricked you, right? I didn't give you the context. So if I don't give you the context, you fill in the context for yourself. And you obviously had a different context in mind than I had, right? I could kind of predict which context you would have in mind, so that was easy. But that's what we do when we think instead of customers. If we put ourselves in their shoes, we think we know their context. But very often we know our business a lot better than they do. We know much more about our business than they do. So they may have a different context in mind, and that's why it's so difficult sometimes to get good answers to the question, what do you expect from us, right? What are your needs? People have a very difficult time answering that accurately. Now, in order to have a bit more context, we have a fantastic instrument. I don't need to explain that to you guys. That's called the customer journey, right? I guess everybody's familiar with what a customer journey is. Well, obviously, you have them in 75 different formats. I've just made a very simple one, because there's two things that always come back in a customer journey, and that's on the horizontal axis, some kind of a process, the steps that the customer goes through, from left to right. A process, but which is very important, is it's a process but through the customer's eyes. Right? What happens in the kitchen in a restaurant is not in the customer journey. It's important to us in our process, but the customer has no direct relationship with that. So it's the process, it's the steps, but through the customer's eyes. And then on the vertical axis, you have some kind of emotion. Right? Satisfaction, emotion, call it what you want. So we have good and we have poor, and we have the extreme versions of those two. Right? And so if I then make a customer journey, I could design a restaurant according to this customer journey. Okay, take a good look. If you look at the steps from left to right, you'll see that it's a restaurant visit. Okay? I could also do it differently. I could also do this. You see some remarkable differences, don't you? Okay, let's think about this. Which of those two customer journeys is going to yield the most satisfied customers, you think? And now I would like you to raise your hands. If you think it's this one, you put one finger in the air. If you think it's this one, you put clearly two fingers in the air. And everybody can vote now. Okay, I see a mixed... Look around you also, look around you. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you very much. So you see, I often, when I ask this question, I have a kind of 50-50 balance. Some people agree with this one, and some people agree with this one. Now, that is strange, because you can't really answer the question. I have not told you what kind of restaurant this is. So like 3 minutes ago, I fooled you into something, I tricked you, I explained to you how I tricked you, I told you I was going to trick you again in a few minutes, I do it again, and you fall for it again. Isn't that remarkable? And that's what we do. We as humans do that all the time. And I must admit, I work with customer journeys every day. I must really arm myself for not doing that. Not taking my context. So what will I show you next now? What will I show you? I will show you a picture of the restaurant. Fantastic. It's a restaurant in Copenhagen, in Denmark. If you cannot read Danish, you can only read a few words. What is that? It's a slow food restaurant. Are you familiar with slow food? Any Italians in the room? It's an Italian concept, slow food. So it's registered, but everybody can use it. Slow food is not an excuse for inefficiency in the kitchen, right? What would slow food be about? Slow food is about fresh ingredients. And so what they do is they cook meats and vegetables at low temperatures. And so the vitamins and the tastes and the minerals stay a lot better in the food. But obviously, if you cook at low temperatures, it takes longer to cook food, right? So the fresh is important, but obviously I need some time to do that. There's two other things that they do. One is like they would start cleaning vegetables when you have ordered your meal, not like any other restaurant early in the morning and then put it in the fridge, because that's not fresh, right? Also, they get the food from the immediate vicinity of the restaurant. So they use farmers in their neighborhoods. So that means if you eat beef in a restaurant like this, the cow and the chef have known each other personally. Now, let's look at the customer journey again. And you'll see that in this first customer journey, what was important in my concept scores really high. You see that? The fresh ingredients are really high. What is low is a consequence of my decision. Right? I've decided I really, really want to serve fresh food, but as a consequence, people will have to wait a bit. You see that? Right? So it could be dangerous to look at all these things, and that's what's happening. That's what's happening. If in boardrooms I see that quite often, the results of the survey enter, and everybody's looking at those things, all those things that score weaker than others, and then we were panicking like, oh, our customers are not happy about these and these and these things. We need to fix those, right? Sometimes people talk about friction hunting also, right? And sometimes they mean this. Now let's take a look at this. What would happen if I want to increase the satisfaction about waiting time? What would happen with the freshness of my ingredients? Yeah, it would go down. There's no other way. Maybe the only other way is if it becomes extremely expensive, right? Maybe I can do that, but then I probably don't have a business case. You see that the price, the ticket amount, is already close to the red zone there, right? And if you're in the red zone, that's an unacceptable zone, so nobody will come to my restaurant if anything is unacceptable. So if it's unacceptably expensive, then I will be alone in my restaurant, right? So we have to ask ourselves, what do we want to be known for? And what is the consequence of that choice? And there is always a consequence. And I've seen a lot of companies who really want to be excellent at everything. The problem is, they will never be excellent at everything. They will fail at certain points. But the problem is that they will fail at points that are not predictable. And so one time they'll fail at one point, and another time they'll fail at another point. In the meantime, frustrating their customers. So here I'm an advocate of choosing what you really want to be good at, the fresh restaurants. I really want to be good at, I want to be exceptional there. I want no other competitor be as good as I am. But the consequence is that people will have to wait. I can explain that. It's like if you go to the doctor, I'm not sure here in Portugal, but like in Belgium, where I am from, we have still two types of operations in doctors. So some have like a consulting day or hour, and you can walk in. And the consequence is that you'll have to wait, right? Usually there are like a few elderly ladies that are already there from 7 o'clock in the morning, while the doctor's office opens at 8. Right? So if I walk in, I'm like the 10th in a row. Like there's also other doctors, and you make an appointment. And if your doctor is well organized, you don't have to wait. Right? Now, if you go to a doctor where you do not have to make an appointment and you do not have to wait, it's probably not a very good doctor. So a doctor cannot combine those two at the same moment. And that's what also the problem with companies. Companies try to combine those, but they really can't. Right? Now, what I also see is that, I told you, like, if we want to increase the satisfaction about the waiting time, we will decrease the freshness of our ingredients. That's probably not very wise to do. But all the other weak points have no relationship with the freshness of our ingredients. So can't we improve those? Why would we not improve those? What do you think? Yeah, that's the whole. Well, the thing is, what do we want to be known for? And if we have €1 to spend, are we going to spend it on, let's say, our reservation, which we can maybe increase a little bit? Or would we still increase the thing that makes us different? The thing that we are known for? The thing that we want to be better than everybody else? So that's one of the things I would like you to think of, is like, okay, in customer experience, if you want to make the difference has to be clear. The difference has to be big, noticeable to a customer. That's how he's going to remember things. So, about remembrance, that's maybe another thing. Because how a customer remembers what you do is not the reality, it's perception. And we can influence that perception. And that is interesting because we know that from the work of Daniel Kahneman. Does anybody know Daniel Kahneman? He's written a book, Thinking Fast and Slow. He won the Nobel Prize for Economics in 2002. And the very strange thing about him is he's not an economist. He's a psychologist. And so he's basically the inventor of behavioral economics. How do we behave, us human beings, with our psychology, how do we behave in an economic situation? And what he found out is that there's two things that make us remember this customer journey as a lot better than it really was. And one is very obvious to all of us. That's the last one. If it ends well, all is well that ends well, we say, right? If it ends well, we will remember it as better. But also the peak, and Kahneman calls it the peak end rule. Also the peak matters. And that is interesting, because the height of the peak, that tells us how well we will remember all the rest. So we will remember the whole customer journey as a lot better than most of those points were if the peak is high. So investing in a higher peak really pays off. And what is interesting there is the duration of the peak does not matter. It can be very short, as long as it's a moment that is exceptional to a customer and is really different from everybody else. But what's also interesting, it doesn't matter how many peaks you have. One is enough. So you don't have to invest in 5 peaks. You invest in one, you make the difference with one thing. And that is enough to make this customer journey really memorable. And that is very interesting, because we speak about customer experience, but actually customer experience doesn't serve any purpose, does it? Because we want to influence the behavior of customers. And that behavior is going to be after the experience. So at that moment, the experience is gone, it's over. There is no longer any experience. The only thing that remains is the memory of that experience. So we shouldn't be talking about customer experience, we should be talking about customer memory management or something. So next year, this will be the CM summit, right? Instead of the CX summit. How he remembers things, that is important because that will steer his behavior. And we can make him remember things as a lot better than they really were if we design the experience better. And that brings us to that first mystery I wanted to solve as Southwest Airlines. They're a low-cost airline, I already told you that. What would be the other thing that they make a difference with? There's actually two things that they promise to their customers. One is low cost, obvious. What would the other thing be? Landing in time. But so they do surveys also with the customers, and what they get is they get feedback. We would like to have food on a plane if we have a long flight, because they're not serving food; they're only serving peanuts on the plane, and actually making advertisements. We are flying for peanuts. They're a low-cost airline. Right? In their year report, they publish how many peanuts they've been handing out that year. It's not how many kilos of peanuts or how many bags of peanuts, it's how many peanuts. I don't know how they do the calculation, but it's a very long number. And obviously that's a gimmick, but they want to make a point. And so the CEO, the then CEO of Southwest Airlines was a kind of a special figure. Herb Kelleher was his name. And what he said to a journalist, he explained to a journalist how easy it was to have very satisfied customers. Because he said, well, if there's a discussion about food, and there was a discussion about the Caesar salad in his management team, and the marketing director is insisting on a Caesar salad because that's what the surveys tell him or her. He says, well, then I think, how is that Caesar salad going to make us cheaper or more in time? Because if it doesn't do that, then there will be no damn Caesar salad. That's what he said. Okay, so that's how Southwest Airlines has highly satisfied customers by explicitly not doing what they're asking, right? Okay, and that brings me to the second myth I'd like to discuss, and that's my favorite. That's my favorite myth because I hear that very often. I hear very often customer centricity is a matter of attitude. You see sometimes customer service is not a department, it's an attitude. Have you seen that before? It's total bullshit. I will tell you why. Now, a few months ago, I took this picture. I had somebody take that picture because I was giving my keynote, and it was the sales director who invited me. And it was like 40, 50 people sitting in a room. And we went to the room, and I asked somebody to take this picture because I saw this on the wall. Customer service is not a department, it's an attitude. So I had somebody take my picture, and the sales director passed us and said, "Oh, don't you think this is great? I had them make it attached to the wall." Well, I was a bit in trouble, right? Because this was my keynote, right? And he was sitting right in front of me, so that was an awkward situation. Okay. Now, to explain what I mean, I will show you a very brief video. It's only 2 minutes, and it's a video. It's a Flemish from Flemish TV. It's two stand-up comedians who go to fast food restaurants. They act as if they have our video called Zonde van de Zendtijd. I hope your Flemish is really good. It sounds like Portuguese, but I've subtitled it for you, okay? Now, try to remember when does it start to go wrong, okay?
Het is blijkbaar heel druk bij de zaalbediening, maar er komt niemand aan tafel. We zitten daar al een tijdje aan tafel te wachten.
Aan de tafel?
Ja.
Op de bestelling. Ja, de bestelling eigenlijk.
Ah, hier.
De bestelling die
oké,
dus wij zaten
ja. En hebt u een menu of zo, een menukaart?
We hebben de chicken of met kip of met rundvlees of
Liefst rund. Mij à point.
Mag voor mij deze. De béarnaise, het vlees die béarnaise, kan dat met bacon? Nee, dat kan niet.
Dus het is enkel menu, we kunnen niet à la carte bestellen. Oké, dus voor mij dan de Mac Deluxe. Ja. Met kroketjes. Oké. Ja, dat vind ik vreemd, maar ja, goed. Ja, met frietje. Nee, frietje is goed dan.
Om te drinken?
Het rundsvlees, dus van een bourgogne. Is er een wijnkaart? Er is geen wijn.
Nee.
Dan spuitwater of zo. Ja, dan San Pellegrino of zo.
Sterke en 10 cent.
Ja, moeten we het nu betalen?
Nu betalen, ja.
Ja, en komen jullie dat dan brengen? Of, wij zitten daar dan. Hè? Nee?
Toch, er zijn geen fastfood.
Fastfood. Oké. Nee, dat is goed.
Oké.
Dan,
nee, maar
de
tijd loopt.
Nee, dat is goed. Dat is voor mij. Van de meter toch een beetje.
All right. Now, who thinks this girl is very friendly and has a good attitude? Raise your hand. I would agree with you. Right? I would hire her immediately. Very, very friendly. Okay, now other question. Who thinks she's doing a good job? Raise your hand. I don't agree with that. Why do I not agree? Let's take a look at what happens after this. So those two people go home. Let's say they have a spouse. They're talking at home. They're talking about their experience in this restaurant. Will that be a positive story? No, probably not. Probably not. So I don't think she's been doing a good job. And then I ask you to notice, when did it start to go wrong? Has anybody seen it? Yeah, at the start, right? They're saying we're sitting at a table and nobody's coming to the table. That's like in the first 30 seconds, right? So we know from the start, oh, those guys don't know what this is. So what could she have done? She could have explained. She could, because now she's not doing a very good job. She's trying 2 minutes, and all the people behind those guys in the line are getting frustrated because this is a fast food restaurant. It's not fast, is it? And so she could have explained in 15 seconds, hey, this is a fast food restaurant. That means that you have to fetch your food in the kitchen, almost. And you'll have to clean your table afterwards, because they will not have done that, would they? Clean their table. They didn't know. Right? So she could have explained. Now, the problem is, obviously, it's not her attitude. And that's why I like this movie, because if you see on internet, if you see movies about bad service, it's usually because people are rude, impolite. But here, she's really polite, but still not doing a good job. So her attitude is not the problem. Who is the problem? Who has not explained her how she could explain to customers? Have you seen the boss? The boss is a guy who works in a restaurant and doesn't know that the maximum number of stars you can get from Michelin is 3. Have you noticed? He talked about the 4-star restaurants. He said, this is not a 4-star restaurant. I mean, how bad can you be in your own industry, right? So she could have explained. And so, okay, we'll do a very short quiz. We'll do a very short quiz. Very short quiz. How many questions does it have? Only one. The question is this. Look at yourself as the driver of your own car. And then you look around you. Are you better than average or worse than average? You have 3 more seconds to think about this. Are you better than average or worse than average? Okay, may I just ask the people who think in their heads, be honest, that said better than average, please stand up. Please stand up. Everybody who said I'm better than average, stand up. Okay. Okay. Look around you. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. I've asked the same question to 300 managers. This was the result. So apparently there's quite a few managers in the room. And we always think we're better than average. We always think we know better what the customer wants. And you should maybe just do this test. Take like a sales team or a customer service team and ask them, how customer-centric are you? And you let everybody vote about themselves, give themselves a score. What would you get as an average? What do you think? Shout something. You'd get about an 8. I've tried it a few times. It's always about an 8. Now, ask the same question, but slightly different. How customer-centric is everybody else in your team apart from you? Then you'll get a 6. Now, isn't that strange? Because you're looking at the same reality. And so you know, if 2 measuring instruments are trying to measure the same thing and they have a different result, at least one of the 2 is broken. right? So we think, and you'll see that, we think we're doing better because what we do, we think that's customer-centric, but somebody else thinks something else. Somebody else thinks something else is customer-centric, and they do something else. So your customer one time gets one kind of service, and the other time gets a totally different kind of service. Right? Now, do you know who this is? It's the Cheshire Cat. The Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. You remember that story? Alice falls into a rabbit hole, and she gets lost, and she meets the cat, and the cat can't talk, and she's at the junction, right? So there's two roads. And she needs to choose a road. So she asks the cat, which road should I take? And the cat says, well, that depends a great deal on where you want to go to. Well, says Alice, I'm lost, so as long as I arrive somewhere, I will be happy. And then the cat says, well, then it doesn't matter which road you take, because if you keep on walking long enough, you will end up somewhere eventually. Right? And we are all Alice in our companies, all our employees and us, we're all Alice. We have to make choices all the time. The very important people have less choices, but very expensive choices. And most people in the front line don't make so expensive choices, but they make many. And so they have to decide, okay, in this situation, what do I do? But how can they decide if they don't know where we want to go? If we don't know what customer centricity is for us? And that brings us to that second mystery I was talking about this company called SD Works. What would be the one decision they have taken? The most important decision they have taken is they developed a vision about what customer centricity is for them. And how they described it is this. Let's say there's two customers talking about us. What do we want them to say? And if a third arrives and says, well, you're a customer with this company, why should I be a customer there? Do you want them to say the same thing? Right? What do you want them to say? And as soon as that becomes clear, a whole thing changes. Now, you could ask yourself, like, why do I have to come up with a vision and have people take decisions of their own? That's complicated, it's long, we need to tell the story, we need to communicate a lot. Why don't we just give them rules? Why don't we just tell them, okay, in this situation, you do this? That could be easier, right? Don't you think? Well, I show you what happens when you do that. So this is a story about a guy who is a fleet manager and is managing trucks who are in Egypt. But his operation is in London. So he sends from London, he sends a message, he says, well, the oil trucks, we have new compliance rules, and the oil trucks have to be labeled with no smoking in Arabic. And 3 weeks later, the guy travels to the site, and this is the picture he takes. Well, it's not AI. I have not photoshopped it. It was in The Guardian in 2012. They took it from the guy's Facebook page. I'll give you a Belgian example, right? This is a Belgian example. Apparently, the guy did a perfect job. Only his boss, who told him where the crossing should come, had an old map. And so he didn't know that the green part was on there, right? Now, obviously, it's not sufficient to choose what you do. You also need to make sure that your people do not have to be superheroes to fulfill that mission. Because what happens a lot is once we know where we want to go, once we know what we want customers to say about us, we have broken processes, and we want our customer or employees to just fix those, right? Not permanently, but every time they interact with a customer. We want them to cover for broken processes. The problem is that's a bad use of time for superheroes. They get bored quite easily doing that, and they will leave, right? You have to make sure that you fix your processes. And that's, I saw also this morning, right? It's not going to be enough to want to be customer-centric. You need to design the processes to be customer-centric, right? And that is what I would like to end with. So the two myths we've talked about are those two, right? Living up to customers' expectations and a matter of attitude. I'm writing a book about this. There will be 10, so we could do a few more hours if you like. But thank you for your kind attention. And so this is the best photo I have of myself. And so my LinkedIn credentials are on there. If you'd like to connect in LinkedIn, would be very great. I publish once in a while about the experiments we do and about the things I talk about. So if you'd like to follow or connect, I'd be very grateful for that. Thank you for your kind attention. Thanks.
Muito obrigado. Passamos para o painel A Tecnologia e a Longevidade. Repensar experiências para as pessoas do presente e do futuro. Chamamos ao palco Bruno Stucci, CEO da Acti Now, Brasil, Gonçalo Rebelo de Almeida, CEO do grupo Vila Galé, e Manuel Alçada, Founder and Executive Director da Happy Work em Portugal. A moderação está a cargo de Dirce Lopes, editora executiva da Forbes Portugal.
Podem se ir sentando. Estão à vontade. Ora, mais uma vez, boa tarde. Temos aqui os desafios, estamos a 3 horas do arranque do nosso Portugal, portanto vamos tentar que isto seja rápido e eficaz. Neste nosso painel vamos tentar perceber como é que a tecnologia pode melhorar a experiência dos clientes e criar valor hoje e no futuro, sem que ninguém fique para trás. E vou começar pelo Bruno, já que veio de mais longe. Hoje não posso dizer as senhoras primeiro, porque sou a única, mas a Etki nasceu no Brasil, mas hoje já tem uma presença além fronteiras, Estados Unidos, México, Portugal, Espanha. Como é que se consegue criar este Customer Experience em mercados tão diferentes? Porque calculo que o cliente português seja muito diferente do norte-americano. Que soluções é que vocês vão criando e até quanto é que adaptam a cada um dos mercados onde vocês já estão presentes?
Perfeito. Primeiro, boa tarde. Prazer estar aqui, agradecer o convite. Eu acho que o primeiro desafio, ou na verdade a primeira solução para tudo isso é aceitar a cultura de cada local, né? Assim, são países diferentes, culturas diferentes, pessoas diferentes, torcem para os países diferentes na Copa do Mundo, né? Então, é respeitar isso. Então, a gente trabalha muito com ter presenças locais, é importante nessas regiões. A gente, apesar de toda a entrega de todos os projetos, é feita através do Brasil, por um time super diverso, de vários países que moram no Brasil. Mas a gente tem esses times locais que fazem essa nacionalização, vamos chamar assim, da cultura, do serviço, né, de interpretar como é o mercado.
Mas há um denominador comum, ainda que se adaptem a cada um dos mercados. Ao fim e ao cabo, qual é a melhor experiência para o cliente que vocês querem criar?
Eu acho que nos dias de hoje a gente acredita muito que a tecnologia ela é um meio de trazer essa experiência independente da geração, independente do mercado. Então, o nosso papel muito é realmente fazer essa transformação digital sem esquecer, né, obviamente, quem são os clientes, que acho que isso é importante, tem estratégias diferentes para cada tipo de cliente, para que permita realmente as empresas terem resultado, né? No final é isso, as empresas, a experiência do cliente tem que ser resultado para o cliente, tem que ser resultado para a empresa.
Gonçalo, a Vila Galé está no mercado faz este ano 40 anos. Calculo que ao longo destes anos a experiência ou como criam esse Customer Experience tenha evoluído de várias formas. O que eu gostava de perceber é, sendo uma indústria de pessoas para pessoas, como é que vocês utilizam a tecnologia para criar esse bom serviço ao cliente, sem esquecer que a parte humana também é importante.
Muito bem. Primeiro, agradecer aqui o convite. Boa tarde a todos. Esta pergunta era muito longa, aproveitando o tema para ter aqui uma resposta completa. E esta longevidade espero que chegue às seleções dos 3 países hoje que estão no campeonato, onde nós temos presença, que é o Brasil, Portugal e Espanha. Os 2 primeiros, os resultados não foram famosos, o de Portugal espero que hoje seja melhor e vou continuar a torcer por isso, mas ainda há tempo para a Espanha e para o Brasil terem melhores prestações. Nós, efetivamente, fazemos este ano 40 anos e o setor hoteleiro e o setor do turismo em particular é dos setores que, do ponto de vista da tecnologia, mais cedo adotou, nomeadamente, a adoção da internet e de ferramentas digitais na sua Customer Journey. Obviamente que ele continua a ser muito físico e muito material na experiência em si do hóspede na unidade hoteleira, portanto, porque o dormir num quarto, numa cama, utilizar uma casa de banho, utilizar o restaurante, utilizar o spa, receber uma massagem, fazer uma atividade física, mergulhar na praia, mergulhar na piscina, tudo isto ainda é muito físico e esperemos que vá continuar a ser físico, portanto, e vai continuar a ter esta componente física e continua a haver nas unidades hoteleiras um grande acompanhamento humano de todas estas tarefas, ou seja, continuam hoje ainda a ser cozinheiros a preparar as comidas no restaurante, a serem terapeutas a fazerem as massagens no spa, a serem pessoas a atender nas recepções e a fazer o welcome desk nos hotéis e, portanto, esta componente humana não teve, na verdade, grande evolução ao longo destes 40 anos. Onde é que a tecnologia entrou? A jornada do cliente começa mais cedo e, portanto, começa no momento da inspiração, em que ele começa à procura de um determinado destino e aí é que a tecnologia entrou, e já entrou há mais tempo e agora vai entrar de uma forma diferente, com a utilização de agentes de inteligência artificial e com as plataformas de inteligência artificial, é como é que eu pesquiso, como é que eu me inspiro. E esta parte da pesquisa, da inspiração, passou a ser praticamente toda digital. Porque mesmo os clientes que depois ainda usam meios de telefone ou que até chegam ao hotel sem reserva antecipada, esta fase da inspiração ela foi toda muito digital. Ou seja, em motores de pesquisa, hoje começa a haver pesquisas feitas também nas ferramentas de inteligência artificial e em que já dão sugestões de destinos e de hotéis inclusive. Esta parte é digital. Depois a segunda parte é eu já tomei uma decisão do destino e quero realizar a minha reserva. Esta parte também já há muitos anos que é digital. Tem vindo a sofrer algumas evoluções, um bocadinho mais fácil. E agora vai ter uma nova evolução que é alguns agentes de inteligência artificial também a ajudarem neste processo da reserva. E até aqui a experiência mantém-se digital e, portanto, há aqui uma combinação. Neste Customer Journey ele começa muito digital. Depois, até chegar ao hotel, vai havendo inputs de comunicação com o hóspede para tentar perceber quais são as necessidades, como é que se pode melhorar a experiência, se quer melhorar de quarto, se quer serviços adicionais. Portanto, isto ainda se passa numa conversação muito digital e depois entra o momento físico. Dentro do momento físico já é misto, ou seja, como é que os hotéis estão a fazer, tem esta parte muito de atendimento humana, complementada com soluções digitais para dar informação adicional, para fazer reservas, para poder fazer o check-in ou o check-out online pagando a conta com meios digitais. E, portanto, aqui é uma combinação que nós chamamos humano-tecnologia. E depois, a seguir, quando sai e dá o feedback, depois voltamos novamente ao ciclo da inspiração para tentar com que ele retorne. Portanto, ela começa digital, depois mistura-se digital com humano e depois volta a digital. Esta parte digital vai ter agora grandes evoluções com este último salto do ponto de vista da inteligência artificial e da utilização de agentes que podem substituir uma parte de todo o trabalho burocrático, de cadastros, de registros, de análises, que pode ser muito mais digitalizada do que é, mas, por outro lado, a digitalização destes processos também vai tornar mais humana a experiência, porque vai deixar para as nossas equipas mais tempo para uma conversa mais relacional e mais empática com os hóspedes do que estarem preocupados em preencher formulários e impressos e dados, etc.
Portanto, as boas-vindas vão ser sempre pelo concierge e o bom dia, quando vamos tomar um pequeno almoço, também vai continuar.
Isso vai continuar.
Manuel, a transformação digital muitas vezes é feita, ou é desenhada de cima para baixo. O que é que, e agora pensando no colaborador ou no empregado, como o Samuel prefere, o que é que muda quando a operação no dia-a-dia, no real, é feita com todos e como é que se consegue não deixar ninguém para trás nesta transformação digital de que tanto se fala?
Está a falar do ponto de vista do colaborador?
Do colaborador.
Do colaborador. Como é que não deixar ninguém para trás?
Isto para depois irmos à liderança, que eu sei que é um tema que...
Ok. E é o tema do painel que tem a ver com o enquadramento de novas de gerações mais antigas. Ok. Bom, antes de mais nada, meu nome é Manuel Alçada, sou responsável pela Happy Work. O Ladislau e a Cristiana convidaram-me para estar aqui e eu agradeço 1 milhão de vezes, são sempre impecáveis, tenho uma enorme honra de trabalhar com os dois já há muito tempo. Ontem estive num momento em que me perguntaram há quanto tempo eu estava neste setor e eu contei 20 e tal e acho que faço 30 para o próximo ano. Bom, já agora tenho 2 livros, escrevi um livro sobre contact center que está lá fora à venda e um livro sobre liderança que foi feito o ano passado e estão os 2 lá fora para quem quiser ir lá espreitar, estamos com uma promoção especial para hoje. Respondendo então à pergunta, basicamente aqui a questão, e já vários falaram ao longo deste dia, deste interessantíssimo dia, nós não podemos, e finalmente se começa aqui a ouvir mais claramente isso. A minha empresa chama-se Work, e portanto há muito tempo que eu tenho falado nisso, que é a importância de sermos felizes no trabalho. E há, de facto, uma relação muito direta entre a felicidade do colaborador e a felicidade do cliente. E há também uma relação muito forte entre a felicidade das pessoas e a forma como elas são envolvidas nos processos de decisão das empresas. Ou seja, fazendo aí a ponte, se queremos que as pessoas se sintam felizes no seu posto de trabalho, temos que as envolver, temos que fazer com que o seu sentido de trabalho seja útil. Depois há aqui culturas diferentes, há culturas em que nós valorizamos mais umas coisas do que outras e, portanto, isso também temos de nos adaptar, mas, no fundo, envolver as pessoas para que as pessoas sintam que são importantes na tomada de decisão, são satisfeitas com a empresa onde estão. É muito importante também o sentimento de justiça e de pertença e, a partir daí, eu vou tratar o cliente de uma forma diferente. Fazendo só aqui a ponto para a questão das gerações, este debate está algo... Andamos a fugir aqui um bocadinho ao tema, e eu sou bastante focado no tema. O que eu queria dizer é que é uma mensagem muito importante, que era a questão das diferentes gerações, sobretudo tem a ver com nós sermos simples. Tudo o que nós fazemos tem que ser básico, simples e fácil. E isto é ótimo para as gerações que representam. Os baby boomers consomem 55%. São 55% do dinheiro que anda para aí circular são consumidos por baby boomers. E nós estamos sempre a falar, nós geração X falamos geração X, geração Y, mas o dinheiro está lá, não é? E as pessoas precisam de coisas fáceis de utilizar. Eu mudei recentemente de operador, peço desculpa a quem vem a seguir a mim, não interessa, mas mudei recentemente de operador e tenho agora um operador low cost, porque todos nós temos que poupar dinheiro. O meu operador low cost tem um número para onde se liga e onde me respondem às perguntas e é só isto. E está feito. E respondem e é assim. E desligam e são rápidos e a coisa funciona. Não tem 1000 coisas à volta, é só aquilo. E eu consegui que a minha mãe começasse a utilizar o serviço também. E antes ela não conseguia. Pronto, portanto, tem a ver com simplicidade. Peço desculpa ter feito já esta grande misturada, mas assim já fez a minha parte. Obrigado.
Mas quando fala de ser simples e quando se fala de não deixar ninguém para trás, as empresas, sendo que as empresas estão despertas para fazer o tal reskilling dos seus colaboradores, para ajudar os seus colaboradores, os das tais gerações da minha faixa etária, pronto, que eu me considero, a saberem utilizar as IAs desta vida, saber o que é um chat GPT, portanto, o que é que as empresas estão a fazer realmente para que os seus colaboradores acompanhem esta transformação, que já não há como voltar para trás?
Não estão muito. Não estão muito. Porquê? Porque nós naturalmente pensamos em nós próprios. Eu falo por mim, eu descobri há muito pouco tempo, falei com um cliente que me disse que estava a focar a sua interação com os clientes através das impressões digitais, portanto nos seus telemóveis, usam tudo através de uma impressão digital, e também através agora está-me a faltar o código, chave móvel digital. E era através daqui que simplificava tudo. E eu, na minha visão, fiquei tudo, parece uma coisa razoável. Fui almoçar com a minha mãe e com as amigas dela e falei na questão da impressão digital, que realmente hoje em dia é muito mais fácil. E disseram-me as 3, pois nós agora não conseguimos porque os nossos dedos têm menos... eu não fazia ideia, a minha ignorância, porque a impressão digital vai perdendo qualidade. E, portanto, a minha mãe já não consegue usar em lado nenhum a impressão digital, já não é válida no bilhete de identidade, não é, no cartão de cidadão, disse bilhete de identidade, não disse? Adiante. Não é válida no cartão de cidadão, e as amigas, que até eram um pouco mais novas, também já não conseguem usar a impressão digital. E eu, na minha ignorância, que já tenho 50 anos, não tenho provavelmente 20, já devia saber, eu assumi, e eu considero uma pessoa atenta às diferentes gerações, mas eu não sabia. E, portanto, nós temos de estar muito atentos a estas pequenas coisas que é, até pode funcionar para uma pessoa, mas não vai funcionar para outra.
Bruno, pegando então aqui nesta parte de o que é que funciona para uma geração e não funciona para outra, como é que vocês têm em conta essa faixa etária? Portanto, estamos numa sociedade em que vivemos mais tempo, a impressão digital, pelos vistos, vai Deteriorando, numa empresa como a vossa, como é que conseguem jogar com essas diferenças de gerações?
Perfeito. Acho que o Manuel deu um ótimo exemplo, né? Para cada geração, assim, existem estratégias diferentes de experiência do cliente e também de tecnologia, né? Passou-se uma época no Brasil que tudo se falava de digitalização, de WhatsApp, tudo isso. Minha avó tem um celular que não é digital, não tem WhatsApp, ela não sabe mexer. Meu avô, ele fala no WhatsApp e você não entende o que ele está escrevendo no WhatsApp do outro lado. Então, não adianta a gente querer acelerar algumas coisas sem entender quem são os clientes. A partir do momento que a gente entende, a gente consegue saber qual canal, que tipo de serviço a gente oferece. Por exemplo, existe uma tendência para, né, as pessoas ficando mais idosas, para todas as tecnologias assistivas. Então, a pessoa vai querer conversar com a Alexa, ela não vai querer digitar, porque era do perfil dela conversar, o canal do telefone. Então, ela quer conversar, ela quer poder fazer a compra através da Alexa. Então, se a gente não se adapta a isso, a gente está indo por um caminho e, na verdade, a sociedade em geral está indo para outro. Então, assim, sabendo quais são os clientes, sabendo quais são os canais, a gente consegue implementar as tecnologias corretas nas jornadas corretas. Acho que esse que tem que ser o caminho.
E olhando para o futuro, que decisões estratégicas é que as empresas devem adotar já hoje para preparar essa melhor experiência no futuro?
Sim, assim, tem desde... a gente tem no Brasil, acho que são mais de 10% da população é analfabeta ou semi-analfabeta. E é uma população consumidora, né? Então, a gente está olhando na ótica de longevidade, de geração, mas a gente tem que olhar também na ótica social também, né? A gente ainda tem regiões com internet muito precária, tudo isso. Então, a gente tem casos lá onde a gente tem que usar o WhatsApp no áudio porque a pessoa não consegue escrever, né? Então, esse é um exemplo de adaptação que, se você parar para pensar, para talvez muitos idosos, isso também funcione mais dessa forma. Eu acho que outro ponto importante é que com o envelhecimento da população, a tendência de quem entra em contato para pedir um atendimento é que seja outra pessoa, não ela mesma. Meu avô, ele vai lá, ele compra na Amazon, mas se tem um problema é minha mãe que liga. As empresas precisam começar a entender essa lógica, que a jornada de compra é diferente muitas vezes da jornada de atendimento, na verdade ela se cruza com ela, né? E aí para isso a gente tem tecnologia que consegue, né, fazer esse tipo de relacionamento, são alguns exemplos.
No caso da hotelaria, Gonçalo, como é que se responde a diferentes gerações, ao pessoal que já começou por dizer que a inspiração é o início, mas a reserva já é quase toda online, mas nem todos estão despertos para essa realidade de fazer a sua reserva, escolher o seu quarto, se é mais virado para o mar ou mais para o interior. Como é que vocês também vão atender às gerações que vivem mais, mas que também estão cada vez mais digitais?
Sim, nós na verdade, o ciclo que eu descrevi é o ciclo muito do casamento da evolução tecnológica com a experiência dentro do hotel. O que eu acho que as empresas têm que perceber, e no fundo é aquilo que nós temos vindo a fazer, é a que target e a que público é que se dirigem. E, portanto, consoante a audiência que querem atingir, têm que manter tantos canais de atendimento de acordo com o público com que nós continuamos a manter um call center bastante ativo, quer em Portugal, quer no Brasil, que atende milhares de chamadas todos os dias e resolve reservas através de uma chamada telefónica normalíssima. Podemos fazer reservas através de um e-mail normal, que mais gente utiliza. E o que nós estamos a abrir é mais alternativas, no fundo, para dar a cada cliente, e nós aqui nem estamos tanto a falar às vezes de gerações, porque nós podemos ter até gerações com uma idade mais avançada que até gostam de adotar a tecnologia, e portanto eu não gosto logo de estigmatizar. A lógica que eu penso é, eu tenho um leque, passam mais de 1,5 milhão de clientes pelos nossos hotéis, e portanto eu tenho um leque muito alargado de perfis de clientes. E portanto eu tenho é que perceber, o WhatsApp é um canal relevante para eu estar e comunicar com os clientes? Então nós abrimos o WhatsApp. Eu tenho o e-mail, eu tenho o telefone. Vamos testar agora agentes de inteligência artificial a atender. E portanto o que nós vamos ter é 4, 5, 6 opções de atendimento. No fundo, estamos atentos àquilo que são as ferramentas que estão no mercado. Foi um bocadinho aquilo que aconteceu já com os meios de pagamento e, portanto, já se pagou por cheque, já se pagou em numerário, pagou-se por transferência bancária, agora por cartões digitais, mas depois temos que perceber se em cada mercado há o Pix no Brasil, há o MBWay, e, portanto, no fundo, as empresas que trabalham com segmentos muito amplos, quer do ponto de vista de faixas etárias, de mercados emissores, de preferências, têm que abrir as suas alternativas de contacto. No fundo, o objetivo, e aqui sim é customer-centric, é pensar o que é mais conveniente para cada cliente, dando ao cliente a hipótese de ele escolher. E, nos casos, pode-lhe ser mais conveniente contactar por WhatsApp, mas se calhar se vier a fazer uma viagem de carro, sabe que pode ligar para um telefone. E, portanto, a nossa lógica não é dizer não, as pessoas com mais de 70 anos só querem telefone, ou as pessoas entre os 5... Cada um de nós pode ter, consoante a situação, opções diferentes para fazer este contacto. E nós, na prática, o que olhamos, e é o que nos dá cobertura para as diferentes gerações, é ter estes diferentes modelos. Ou seja, em várias fases da Customer Journey, nós temos alternativas. E a escolha é do cliente. No fundo, isto é dar mais poder ao cliente de decidir, em cada momento, qual é a forma mais confortável dele interagir connosco. Vão haver alguns que agora até vão preferir interagir com os agentes de inteligência artificial, que pode atender facilmente às 3 da manhã ou em horários que não seriam tão convenientes, onde o nosso call center não está a funcionar. Portanto, nós temos é que encontrar alternativas, todas elas que garantam os níveis de resposta adequados, e o problema de muitas das empresas é que não têm o target muito definido, e às vezes têm ambições de ter targets mais alargados, mas só dão uma opção de contacto. Tem que ser através da app e tem que se descarregar a app e só se pode falar por a app. E aí, ao mesmo tempo, querem ampliar a base, mas estão a limitar nas formas de contacto. E isto, às vezes, é o risco de haver algum desfazamento entre aquilo que é o objetivo e as ferramentas que se disponibilizam. Quanto mais alargado eu tiver o meu leque de clientes, e nós temos, do ponto de vista etário, de nacionalidades, culturas, religiões, etc., é muito alargado, 1,5 milhão de pessoas, tenho muita gente diferente. O que eu tenho que alargar também é as opções de contacto nesta jornada, ou pelo menos esta é a nossa visão.
Temos estado a falar de Customer Experience, mas há uma variante que também é importante, que é o Employee Experience. O que é que distingue realmente uma empresa que cuida das suas pessoas para que depois possam também oferecer esse bom serviço? Pode continuar o Gonçalo e depois...
Vamos lá ver. No nosso caso, nós temos duas grandes componentes. E a que faz verdadeiramente a diferença são as pessoas. E isto não é conversa, é muito fácil de explicar, porque nós temos a componente das infraestruturas e dos equipamentos, no fundo o edifício do hotel que construímos, as camas, as televisões e as mesas, mas esta parte, na verdade, ela não é absolutamente diferenciadora, porque ela é facilmente copiável. Os equipamentos que nós compramos estão no mercado, portanto qualquer pessoa pode chegar lá, desde que tenha capacidade de investimento, não é qualquer, mas que tenha capacidade de investimento e consegue comprar exatamente os mesmos equipamentos que nós estamos a utilizar nos hotéis. As pessoas já é diferente, porque as pessoas, para já, não são todas iguais, e, portanto, cada pessoa é a sua pessoa, e depois, no contexto em questão, também podem atuar de forma diferente. As pessoas que hoje trabalham connosco e que nós transmitimos uma determinada cultura, uma forma como queremos que se relacionem com os clientes, fora do nosso contexto e noutra outra empresa, vão ter um comportamento diferente. E isto, na verdade, é o que pode fazer a distinção do atendimento no nosso grupo face a outros grupos, porque este fator não é copiável. Não é copiável nem a pessoa, nem o enquadramento dessa pessoa dentro da organização. E, portanto, nós usamos muito a componente humana e os recursos humanos como fator distintivo da marca. Do ponto de vista das infraestruturas, o que conseguimos distinguir é um bocadinho esta lógica, quer dos destinos, quer dos edifícios históricos, porque esses são mais difíceis de copiar. E, portanto, nós também, quando estamos a fazer a reabilitação do património, também tem muito a ver com a autenticidade e com a unicidade do edifício. E, portanto, tentar ser diferentes por duas vias, com alguns edifícios e depois com o atendimento com as pessoas, porque eu acredito plenamente naquele princípio de que, obviamente, e na nossa... Porque nós recebemos pessoas e queremos proporcionar uma experiência agradável, onde as pessoas se sintam bem, se sintam felizes. No fundo, este é o nosso propósito. Quando recebemos alguém, queremos que as pessoas saiam felizes. Portanto, é bom que as pessoas do nosso lado estejam felizes. A outra coisa que é fundamental é, como nós temos esta diversidade de clientes, eu também tenho que garantir essa diversidade do ponto de vista dos recursos humanos. E, portanto, para eu ter uma equipa equilibrada, que entenda as necessidades e que percebe que o cliente brasileiro gosta mais de um canal de atendimento, o português outro, as gerações mais velhas, eu também tenho que ter dentro das equipas pessoas das diferentes gerações e das diferentes origens para me trazerem E disse, olha, nós gostamos mais disso assim. Portanto, é este equilíbrio, e que na prática depois nós já tivemos modelos complicadíssimos de balance scorecards e KPIs complicadíssimos, e eu reduzi neste momento a 3 indicadores que no fundo é a avaliação da performance, a rentabilidade, porque eu obviamente preciso ter rentabilidade, a satisfação do cliente e um estudo que fazemos internamente de clima organizacional. E portanto eu basicamente estou a medir se os colaboradores estão satisfeitos, se os clientes estão satisfeitos e se a empresa é rentável. Limpei 150 KPIs que usávamos em modelos combinados para cada departamento, etc. E, portanto, porque isto, na verdade, é a essência. Se eu tiver as pessoas felizes, o cliente feliz, e se continuar a ter resultado, porque eu posso ter os colaboradores felizes e os clientes felizes e a empresa está num buraco desgraçado financeiro, também não interessa.
Não convém.
Portanto, eu preciso só destas 3 componentes. E estes 3 indicadores dão uma performance da empresa.
Manuel, no seu livro fala de liderança ética e eficaz. No fundo, o que é que significa, neste ambiente altamente tecnológico, liderar bem as equipas?
Bom, no ambiente tecnológico e não tecnológico significa coisas mais ou menos parecidas, não é? Que é, não sei, isto vai parecer um bocado oba-oba, mas é tratar bem as pessoas. Basicamente é isso. É ouvi-las e tratar as pessoas decentemente. Basicamente é isso. E também ser exigente. Por isso é que também quando falo em mistura ética e eficácia, porque ética, obviamente, sermos boas pessoas, mas não é ser só bonzinhos, senão não somos eficazes. E também temos de ser eficazes sem ser uns vampiros, não é? Portanto, é este equilíbrio entre ser pessoas que trata bem as pessoas, mas que pensa que a empresa tem que dar lucro e trazer resultados. Basicamente é esse equilíbrio. Só fazer aqui uma nota em relação ao que tinha sido aqui dito antes, que é em relação aos vários canais e à questão das gerações. Nós, às vezes, mais vale termos 2 canais que funcionem muito bem do que termos 10 que nós estamos a tentar abrir a tudo que conseguimos. Mais vale termos um muito bom WhatsApp e um muito bom telefone e depois o cliente, olha, adapta-se sobre si. Estou a dizer que é o seu caso, se cá faz a gestão de vários canais muito bem, não é isso que estou a dizer. Estou a dizer que às vezes com as limitações que temos ou com... Exato, da forma que nós... Mais vale ter 2 ou 3 a funcionar muito bem e fazer aquilo muito bem gerido, porque aí a pessoa se liga e consegue que o assunto seja resolvido, ou o WhatsApp rapidamente resolve o assunto, não é preciso grande destreza para lá chegar. Pronto, era só aqui uma pequena parte, porque acho que é importante e tenho muitos desafios. Há empresas que me pedem, eu quero implementar o AI Ergonomics, que vem da não sei o quê e que não sei o quê, mas estás a atender telefones como deve ser? Isso ainda não. Bom, então se calhar, não é? As duas coisas têm que trabalhar em conjunto, não é? Ou as pessoas que implementam AI sem olhar para as molas beijas que lá têm em casa, não é?
Para terminar, porque o nosso tempo já estamos com 6 minutos a mais. Daqui a 10 anos, cerca, ou 5, ou no horizonte temporal que considerarem, o que é que vai ser o Customer Experience? Quais é que vão ser as variáveis que realmente vão importar no Customer Experience? Bruno. E rapidinho.
Pegar uma bola de cristal aqui, né, para a gente poder... eu acho que assim, a gente passa ciclicamente por algumas revoluções, né? A gente hoje está no momento da AI e atrás a gente estava falando de CRM, né? De omnicanalidade, de CRM. Então, essas mudanças vão continuar existindo, a tecnologia continua evoluindo. Mas eu acho que o que não vai mudar é que a gente tem que continuar entendendo, olhando o cliente, a jornada do cliente e trazendo resultado para a companhia, né? Isso não vai mudar. Então, acho que daqui a 10 anos o que vai acontecer existe, né, até pesquisas que até 2030 a AI vai estar envolvida em 80% pelo menos das relações com o cliente. Então, você vai ter um ambiente muito mais personalizado, muito mais resolutivo e onde você vai poder aportar a relação humana em criar relações humanas. Então, é isso que eu acredito que daqui 5, 10 anos vai acontecer.
Gonçalo, do lado da hotelaria, como é que vai ser?
Esta fase não me preocupa, não vejo uma transformação radical do ponto de vista do atendimento. A próxima fase que se fala dos humanoides e o desenvolvimento dos humanoides é uma fase que me assusta, confesso que um bocadinho mais, de ter as cozinhas dos hotéis com humanoides a prepararem um cozido à portuguesa ou uma feijoada, mas... E, portanto, essa parece-me a mim, para a minha geração e para a forma como cresci, e para alguém que gosta muito do relacionamento humano e acredita que aquilo é a essência da atividade hoteleira e do turismo, a próxima fase, com todos estes investimentos que estão a ser feitos do ponto de vista de desenvolvimento de humanoides, confesso que me assusta mais. Os próximos 5 anos ainda estou tranquilo.
Portanto, o presidente da empresa vai continuar a fazer os seus almoços e as suas feijoadas que ele tanto gosta.
E com pessoas, no fundo, com pessoas. Eu acho que também todas as fases têm sempre um período de adaptação e o ser humano tem essa coisa fantástica, que é aquilo que também me apaixona nesta atividade, é que vai tendo capacidade de adaptação. E no fundo, se os seres humanos puderem escolher aquilo que verdadeiramente gostam de fazer e deixar para a tecnologia e para os humanoides aquilo que são tarefas eventualmente mais chatas, mais cansativas, mais exigentes, até pode ser que seja um bom compromisso.
Manuel, do lado dos contact centers, e como é que
vai ser daqui a 10 anos?
Uau!
Sim. Bom, não consigo fazer uma projeção, mas acho que aquilo que foi dito é isto. Portanto, esperemos nós, no fundo, que aquilo que é de facto importante seja tratado pelas pessoas que estão a lidar com os clientes, que é a relação, e que tudo o resto que é chato e repetitivo esteja a ser automatizado, é o que todos desejamos. E eu acho que daqui a 10 anos, muitos de nós vamos nos continuar a encontrar em eventos destes. E, portanto, daqui a 10 anos, de certeza que muitos de nós vamos encontrar e continuar a comer um croquete. Tenho a certeza absoluta.
Ok. Portanto, o futuro não vai ser só sobre pessoas ou sobre máquinas, mas é como é que os dois se vão equilibrar para criar a tal boa experiência para os clientes e para os empregados. Muito obrigada.
Partimos agora para o último painel desta edição do CX Summit 2026. Vamos chamar de Global CX Alliance. Chamamos ao palco Denis Wakabayashi, Global Voice of CX. Vamos então ter aqui primeiro um painel, uma intervenção sobre o Customer Experience at Scale for Business Growth. Vodafone 1X Use Case. Chamamos ao palco Luísa Pestana, assim é que é, Executive Board Member da Vodafone Portugal.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm standing between this very nice panel that we had just now and the next one, and I will try to be really brief. So it's a real pleasure to be here today at Nova. So a very big thank you once again to Christian and to the Lab Experience for the invitation of having me here today, and for also organizing such an event, such an extraordinary event about the trust, the technology, and the people who really want to serve our customers much better every day. So I need my clock. So where is the... So today is all about building scalable and trusted experiences to our customers. And one of the things I would like to mention here today and to start my presentation, this is my learning, is that you can roll out systems, technologies, transformation CX programs, and I'm sure that everyone in the room has done it already many times, but you cannot roll out trust. Trust is something that you do not roll out. You earn it along the way, and you need to be very careful not to mess up. Otherwise, you just break it, and you cannot roll it on again. So that's my learning, and I would like, throughout this presentation, to share some insights that are coming from my own experience. I've been a Chief HR Officer for more than 10 years, so I have a lot of experience leading leaders, big teams, organizational change, cultural change, and more recently, in the last years, I'm Commercial Transformation and Operations Officer for Vodafone, and that means transforming the customer experience on commercial channels, and I'm responsible for non-presential channels, so everything that is done on the phone, customer care, and we have listened to some of the speakers talking about care, contact centers, digital, chatbots, websites. These are the channels I'm responsible for. And to do that transformation, we need to transform systems, that our assistants who are in retail, in customer operations, whatever they need to use, these are the systems we are transforming right now. And I'm coming from a company with more of 30 years of, let's say, operations. So legacy is a strong word because it means multiple systems that are whatever. So who comes from 30 years of more of experience in some companies, we know this. So, and also operations. So I have experienced the people side and the technology side, and here I am to share some of, let's say, my learnings. So rolling back is a word or an expression that I have been listening quite often in the last years. It's a word that I hate. I don't like this word, okay? I don't like it because it means something was about to be rolled out and it needs to roll back. But at the end, I learned also, well, not to dislike so much this word, because it means that if something is about to go wrong and land on the customer, you have the opportunity to stop it, fix it, and then roll it back again. So at the end, rolling back is kind of a safety net. You are safe because if you are, about to deploy a new process, a new system, merging different platforms in just one, something is about to go wrong. You have the opportunity to stop and make sure you don't mess up, and you stop, you fix, and you roll back. So, however, on trust, and trust is about internal teams, is about the front line. So throughout the day, we talked quite a lot about the people who are in front line, being in shops, in the contact center. Those people, if we break up trust, they are, the BP colleagues, speakers who were in the morning, they said, BP is just a brand, and who speaks about that brand is the people in the gas stations. So they represent us. It's the same for us also. So the people who work for us, being our own employees or employees of others, and I have some partners here in the audience, and they know, they are the representatives of our brand. And they need to pass trust if they really trust our processes, our systems, and our products. And so I just made the connection to many words I have been listening of my team in the last years, because we are doing quite a lot of technological transformation. And we talk a lot about staging environments and pre-production environments. And for trust and belief, there is no such a thing. So, and there is also not the opportunity to many times have second and third chances. And this is about partners, this is about our own employees and internal teams, and also about the customer. So right now, I think we all heard throughout the day that technology really is moving really fast. And trust never had the same speed of technology. And now, with AI, that difference of speed is bigger and bigger. So AI could be a great friend, and we can, with scalable data, understanding the data that comes from the systems, etc., and with powerful analytics at scale, we can detect use cases where we can act faster. We can correlate information with one another. We can understand when a customer is not satisfied enough, and we can give them, a different treatment. We can also understand, so one of the panelists was talking about a bad experience with a telecom operator. We can maybe have a special treatment with him, understand if he calls us back again, maybe a differentiated service, and we can do it at scale with data. So in this, let's say, summit, there are 3 words that are really powerful. They are presented as 3 pillars. It's trust, people, and technology. My view and my insight is that in some ways, they are 3 pillars. They are not equals. So technology, I think it's really hard. It's really hard to deploy new systems, new processes at scale, things that really work, especially in companies like the one I work for, which has a huge legacy to deal with. But at the end, I think it's the easiest part. And trust is the prize. So we saw Manuela today in the morning winning a prize. We all want to win that prize for the customer, to win that customer trust, because, as Ladislau was saying in the morning in Dubai, where he's living now, building trust is really critical. We want our customers to go back. We want to retain. You use that word 2, 3 times. So trust is really the prize we all want to win. And people are the ones who will decide if we move from technology into trust or not. So I have one example. One experience is the name of a transformation program that we in Vodafone are running right now. And it's a very simple name, but what it means, it started to mean 3 things. So one experience meant one front end for all our frontliners, one back end, one commercial catalog. This is a huge technological transformation that we are now living in implementing in our company. One experience is the name of the front end of that transformation program that right now is being used by more than 3,000 people in Vodafone. And it started with this name. The name was baptized to mean that at the end what we want is that every customer, when interacting with us, will have always the same experience regardless of the channel he is interacting with us. And those who have experience to set up different channels along the years, like us, with legacy, not always the processes are the same, and the experience of the customer is not the same. So this was the thing. But because this transformation is huge and involved a lot of internal teams, but also partners. So for example, our technological partner, that is the main one, is Self-Focus, so it's part of the team. So Self-Focus and us and Vodafone, always with meetings with a lot of tension, I must say, okay? Because transformation is very beautiful in PowerPoints or when we are speaking about that in conferences like this, but on the day-to-day is really hard. It's really hard, and we are not happy all the time. Most of the time, we are actually not so happy because we are talking about delays, we are talking about problems, we need to mobilize the teams, we need to understand also how to mobilize the frontliners, how to engage them in the proper way, how to build trust. And one of the learnings with this one experience was that about 3 to 4 months after the program started, one of the things was there was a big message from myself saying that the calendar is the calendar. This is the program that we will deploy. This is a huge transformation that we want to impress here. This is really important for our customers. And I set up 2 milestones, 2 deadlines in the calendar. And guess what? We failed the first one, okay? And it was not fun. It was not fun. It was a big learning. And one of the things I thought was, why did it fail? So why did it was also one of the topics of one of the speakers, why do big transformations fail? This one did not fail, but had a shaky moment, okay? And one of the things was we had to roll back. We had to stop for 3 weeks. We have to realign our calendars. We had to really stop and think it through with our partners in very difficult and tension meetings. And then I realized, because I had the people experience before in my career, the thing was, we were not one team. We were just, a group of very good experts, very well-intended people. We were not acting as one team. So I said, one experience is not 3 things, it's 4 things. It's one front end, one back end, one catalog, one team. And it took us 5, 6 months until we said we are really acting as one team. And in all our PowerPoints, it said one experience, one front end, one back end, one program catalog, one team. And I used to call it out in the weekly meetings. Guys, we are still not one team. See, the way we behave in this meeting, the way we are talking about the program, the way we are not embracing the change and move it forward. We are not one team. So at the end, I think, again, it's a repetition of what so many speakers said today. It's about people. It's about the people. It's about the beliefs of those people. It's about the way they behave, not when the boss is watching. It's the way they behave in micro behaviors every day when no one is watching. So when nobody is watching you, what do? Are you acting as, a professional, as somebody engaged and who wants really to grow trust for your customers? So that was a strong realization, I must say. We are now one team. Things are much better now. And also we were able, because we are now one team, to transmit all of that confidence, all of that trust to those who are in front line, using the systems, the transformed systems, the communication, the engagement that we really started to do with the people who really are in front of the customer and need to use those systems, those use processes, and how happy they are because they can perform their tasks much faster. Faster for them means more sales, more profit, because they can do more operations in the same time. So building scalable and trusted experiences, for me, it means 2 things in those 2 types of channels. If it's assisted conversations that we have with our customers, being commercial or care, that trust needs to be instilled through people. Your people need to buy from the heart, from the emotional side of it, the products, the processes, because that's the way it is. On digital, it needs to work every single time, regardless of the journey, and it still doesn't, okay? It still doesn't. And we are here to make the experience better. Also AI, I think, and to finish, AI raises the bar on trust. It's my belief, because we are able to analyze data, to correlate data in a very sophisticated manner, and that is only important if you can use that data and instill that back into the operation to make your service faster and better. And so this is my learning, is a learning of someone who moved from the people side into technology, and also who took some time to see that we were not acting as one team. So that was a big learning for me last year, and I thought it was just spot on giving the topic and the title of this conference. So once again, Ladislau, very happy to be here. thank you so much also for giving me the opportunity to tell my story.
Thank you so much. Now I have this different one. Yeah, it is. So we are going now for our last sprint of our day. I would like just to say that what we are going to have now, we are going to do it fast because we know as fast as we can. Dennis will close with the presentation. But before that, we want also to share a moment here with you guys. So about one new initiative that we have. But I would like to say, when I was listening to Luisa, I was remembering I worked at Vodafone a long time ago, in 2000 to 2002. And it was a long time ago, but what is interesting, this thing about one team, and companies, they change and they move and you go around, but the legacy or what we go through the companies stays with us. And it's very interesting. When I moved to Dubai, part of the board or part of the team, when we were meeting, we would go and we check each other's LinkedIn, you know, every time we move to a new job. People were saying like, oh, you also work in Vodafone? There was a guy that was an Egyptian that worked in Germany. And now even last month in March, I was in Bucharest. And after Vodafone already worked in 12 companies. And I was in an event in Bucharest, and 2 or 3 people, they approached me in different moments asking me, you are a Vodafone, ex-Vodafone as well? So there was something in this culture, and there is for sure, that keep us also connected. And we go and we move and we do things in different, and as I say this about Vodafone, I could say about other companies as well. So this is part of this one team. This is part of this spirit that at the end of the day, like Alçada was saying, is like we want everything at the end to be simple. The simplicity is the key of everything, but at the end of the day is the most difficult to achieve. Thank you so much, Luisa, for sharing your experience and what your company and you went through, very aligned with everything that we discussed today about the trust. Okay, so let's start. Let's start now with the last moment of one of the 2 last moments. So I don't know if the Regi wants...
Vamos a isso, vamos chamar The Global CX Alliance. Chamamos ao palco Denis Wakabayashi, Global Voice of CX, Estados Unidos da América, Camila Ferreira, CEO da Rise Up, Ladislau Batalha, que já se encontra em palco, e Cristiane Oliveira, Partner and CEO da Lab Experience.
Where's the video? Okay.
You have a micro.
No video. Huh? No video. Okay. That's all right. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to be fast just because I know you want to get to the game. Last year I was here. The year before that I was here. I'm always grateful to be in Lisbon. And I want to start with a fun fact. You know, I'm drawn to certain countries for one reason or another. And I don't know, there's just something about Portugal and about Brazil that speaks to customer experience in a way that is better than the rest of the world. Now, I myself, because I do behavioral research, I always want to know why this is. And I don't know how many of you knew this, but Portuguese as a language is a tokenized language. And what that means is your natural speaking behavior is the most synonymous language there is on planet Earth to how AI works. So you have a natural instinct and a natural disposition to AI and shaping the world. You've been doing great at customer experience. And I love these guys. So for the last 3 years, I've been working on a special project, the Global CX Alliance. I just posted on LinkedIn. Luisa is my new CX hero. This idea of one team doesn't have to stop in your corporation. It can extend to all of us here and all of us throughout the world. We've been working for 3 years to build a CX alliance that has training, it has knowledge, it has sharing that will help all of us around the world unite. For the last 3 years around the world, many times with these folks here, we've been speaking to other countries, we've been meeting other CXers like you. Each country has something special about it. Each person has something special about them. So, as I did the research, for about the last 150 years, there has been a number of key advancements that have scaled technology and scaled what we can do, how we can talk to more agents at one time, how we can build the internet, stuff like this. And each of those eras brought about a kind of splintering or a separation of discipline. And it created an archetype of CXer, the way you think, that can be traced back hundreds of years. Why you think the way you do? Around the event, there is a QR code. If you take a picture of it, and I'll have it in my keynote, if you take this picture and you fill out the questions, it will help you discover your CX archetype. You're one of 7. All 7 exist in your organization somewhere, and there's more than 7, or there's one team where 7 collaborate that makes CX great. When it came time to actually put value and a structure around the CX Alliance, I came to some trusted colleagues to take the assessment, okay? And the first person I asked was Cami. Cami took the assessment, and Cami and I have traveled all the way around the world, at least, all the way down to the south and the west and the east. And so we're friends. And she said, oh, this is really good. I really like it. I think there's something meaningful here. And I was thinking, that's great, but you know what? We're buddies, and you might be telling me what I want to hear. So we said, let's give it to Christiani, because Christiani, she'll tell us if something's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And so we showed it to Christiani, and we were all in conference call, and Cami was there, and Cami was going to try to cheerlead, and I was like, no, just wait. She'll hate it from the beginning. Let's just get her feedback and learn. And what did you say, Christiani?
You know, all these people, they are building quite a reputation for me the whole day. I'm not sure why. I am very sweet.
Because we trust you more than anyone else.
I actually tell my clients that they pay me to tell the truth, even when it's not beautiful. And what I said when I took the assessment is that it looked like that algorithm knew me since I was born, because it told me things that it was exactly how I think and I behave with my work ethics, with my clients, and my attitude towards customer experience and leadership.
So thank you for that. And so we've made this CX archetype available to you. It's free. If you take it, it will tell you your CX archetype. It will automatically add you all to the Global CX Alliance. And I want to talk about why we came together for the CX Alliance. And maybe I'll just start here, but Cami, why did you want to be part of founding a Global CX Alliance, and what does it mean to you?
Putting me on the spot like this?
Yes. Authenticity.
It's on my archetype.
Oh, that's true.
I think the main reason is to give back everything that I have had the chance to experience throughout my personal and professional life. I think this is one of the things that I learned through customer experience. And we have discussed it here today about trust, about people, about employee experience, about the human to human. And at a certain point in my life, I decided that it was not the time anymore to keep collecting, but start giving back. And that's the main reason why I decided to join. Not to mention that just here on the stage, 4 amazing CX leaders, but the community that you were building is a community that is a giving community. So even though the main purpose was to give back, I get a lot and I learn a lot absolutely every day.
Awesome. Christiane, not to keep belaboring it, but Christiane has held me to such high standards. Christiane, it's an honor to have you part of the Alliance. You are one of, because you are so honest and you want to provide value, I appreciate your inclusion, but we want to give you value. And I'm curious, what inspires you or makes you want to build a global alliance of CXers?
It's so interesting to see how Dennis talks to me, because it's almost like I talk to my children. I have 3 daughters, and they look a lot like me, so I try to be positive. You know, like I talk to them exactly like you talk to me, trying to see, you have very high standards, not to say that you are picky. No, I want to be part of this community for one reason. I am indeed have very high standards and everything, but in the end of the day, I am a community builder because people see that I want to take what is best from them. And what we saw today from the speakers, for example, I made their lives a little bit miserable in the last month, but in the end of the day, they did a great job here on the stage. And I do that with my clients, with my partners, with everything. And having a global alliance is the opportunity that we have to collaborate and to help each other. For example, I met Manuela just last year in this conference as well, and today she's one of my best friends. We learn from each other, we grow together. And to have the opportunity of having professionals that necessarily do not work in the same function or in the same layer or in the same industry, sharing knowledge, sharing our pains, sharing the things that we are working, and particularly as well the things that are failing, it adds a lot to our lives. And we also need friends, and we need people to talk to. And that's the main reason I wanted to join the Alliance.
Thank you so much. And Ladislao, you were a key inspiration for the global connectivity of our practice. You've pioneered so many adventures and brought so many different countries together. It's an honor to have you as a founding member of the Alliance. And can you talk a little bit about what the Alliance means to you, and what do you want Lisbon to take forward to the rest of the world?
Okay, so thank you for the question, Dennis. So at the end of the day, it seems like a broken record, but it's always again about trust. We have a lot of sources now. We have a lot of if I open my LinkedIn or if I open my Instagram, it's all about customer experience and a lot of events and a lot of information and a lot of certifications and a lot of programs. So at the end, I want to connect with people I know and people that I trust. And then we are knowing people from all over the world. So we met all of us each other in different moments in our careers. And after this session, and after these days, we met even more people that we didn't know before. And we are connecting each other. And every time I go somewhere in the world and I meet someone that also works in CX, we all have all the same purpose, that is to find the best solution or the best options for one single and simple question. That is, there is one guy that needs something, and there is one guy or an organization that has to provide it. So it is the most, and then we make this very complicated. So whenever I meet someone that can help me to understand how to crack the code and how to deliver better things, I don't want to commit with big programs, or I don't want to commit with corporate stuff. I want to commit with people. So, and I want to commit with, and I want to meet another colleagues that they do something that I also can use. Can be the archetype. Archetype is a good example. Maybe 2 weeks from now, we'll find out that there is another thing. Or there is a training in Mongolia that saw this delivering, or something that Bruno is doing, like, we are going to close your company. No, we are not. So that was a big learning. So these things are things that make me believe in these alliances. Not very formal, because nothing will replace my business, and nothing will replace what we do. But if there is any inspiration or something that we can use together, that's perfect.
So this is really an invitation for you, Lisbon. You're the first group that we're talking to you about the Alliance. We welcome you to join the Alliance. Bring your learnings, get involved. It starts by knowing your archetype. The reason it starts there is because I've done quite a bit of research, agentic research, and studied all across the world, all the CXers in all of the places, to understand how we all collaborate. I'm not saying the archetype is the only way to do it. I'm saying it's one way that we can come together quickly. Your ideas can help build the alliance. Your ideas can help shape the alliance. You can help extend it. And I think most of all, by knowing your archetypes, in the archetype assessment, it'll tell you who the other archetypes are that are strong collaborators and those that may not be so much, and how to work with each other, how to identify others in your organization. I can't tell you how many times I've been on stage where people say, CX is everyone in the organization's job, as though it wasn't already everyone's job. It's just nobody has a name for it. No one gets credit for it. People speak different kinds of CX, from customer service to marketing to this. So I think by having an archetype, it helps us galvanize more quickly. The first gift that we're going to give you to help think about this more is at the end of my presentation, I'll have a QR code. We have a book, Shrink to Human. It has a lot of frameworks. It has a lot of thinking about how to unify the world around CX. When you interview 1 or 2 different people around the world, everyone says we all have the same goal, to Ladislaus' point, but we all don't speak the exact same language. So with that said, we want to invite you to be part of the CX Alliance. Is there anything you would like to ask to invite? How would you like to invite this audience? This is your close, these are your close friends.
So that is a good point, because if I was on that side, I was like, these guys are crazy. What are they talking about? It's like, cuckoo. So
that's true.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the best thing is for you to try. So at the end of the Dennis will do a presentation next. It will a QR code. At the end of the day, you are talking about. Dennis did a very strong research about archetypes, 7 types. Each one of us, when you go through this self-assessment, it will show who we are when it comes to CX. And that will help us to drive the ways we deal. So the best thing to do, and if we had more time, that's what we would be doing at the beginning, if it was not the game. At the end of the day, maybe the ones that we are here are the ones that are not going to watch the game. The others already left. But to say that at the end of the day, the best thing to do is to do the archetype. Test is a QR code. Dennis will show it at the end of the session. Down where we'll have the
I'll have the QR code in the middle, and then I'll have the book at the end.
Okay, then the end, and in the drinks after
happy hour.
The happy hour, we'll have as well the QR codes there, so you can just scan it and do it whenever you want.
But
okay?
As I am more organized, I know that everyone wants the presentation, the presentations that we had today, and the pictures and everything. So next week, I am sending on Monday an email to everyone, and I include all this information, the links, the QR codes, and the benefits of joining the CX Alliance, so you can make part of this movement.
We don't lie when we say that she has high standards.
Right. In the archetypes, Christiane is organized, and my archetype, I'm not organized.
But just one final comment here. I think this event happens once a year, which is amazing. This is the second one that I'm attending. But CX Alliance is a way for us to be in touch 365 days a year. So that's my invite to you all to be part of this community.
All right. And with that said, why don't you guys go? I'll jump into it.
Bye. Bye-bye, Dennis.
And I'll just, for those of you who don't know, because I think Ladislao is right. Some of you might be thinking, this guy's crazy. Many of you were here last year. Is there anyone who doesn't know who I am? So I'll just introduce myself by hands. Okay, some of you I see. My name is Dennis Wakabayashi. They call me the global voice of CX. I've spent the last 3 years on world tour, going from place to place, country to country, on the front lines. One of the things I do, I ask executives if they want to work with me, you've got to sit on the front lines in the call center because I want people to see that. I built a call center myself, a small one in South Africa. And prior to that, before going on this crazy world tour, I'd led customer experience strategies for AT&T, McDonald's, Wells Fargo, FedEx, to name a few. Global brands come to me when they really need to make a difference. And I always talk about CX, and I use CX principles to do it. My community online will reach over 1 million followers this year. And I always come back to Lisbon for the reasons I said. Next year, this will be an event again, and I hope all of you will be Global CX Alliance members. That being said, I want to give you a little bit of action because, is this it? All right, so I love that everybody's talking about trust. To be really effective at CX, we have to do more than talk about trust. We've got to be able to measure it. And there is a way to measure it now. And I'm going to just teach you a few things that you can take home, and I'll be fast because we want to be to the game. This was going to play before. All right, so the Alliance. The book's called Shrink to Human. We'll get into it. I studied almost 500,000 conversations in the internet, public signals about different countries, to understand the behaviors and the ideas that are in the minds of the people there. What does that mean? How would I know? How do I know so much about you already? I don't speak Portuguese. But when you take the assessment, you'll see what this kind of research, what this kind of understanding about our global collective means to you and your practice. I studied 500,000 conversations, and you know what I was after? I wanted to see how many of you would believe me. How many of you would trust me? I measured how much you would trust me. What I found was, I looked at how much would Portugal, Brazil, Switzerland, South Africa, Japan, how much would you trust me to tell you the truth and believe what I'm saying? 14% of you probably trust me already. You're already thinking this. Those of you who are having conversations about trust as a North Star or a lead metric, you're my people. There are 31% of you who are undecided at this moment, and there's 35 of you who are like, I don't know, I'm already down with the NPS score, I don't need this. What I found interesting is I measured also how many of you would change your minds after my presentation. And some of you come over to my side and you say, oh, this guy's really got it. And there's many of you who go over and say, now that I've heard him, forget this guy, I'm definitely out. You'll dig in and you'll reject it. And that's okay. How you stack up against the other places in the world. Brazil is the most likely to trust. Switzerland has the least undecided, but they're decisive. South Africa has the most distrust. Japan is less likely to trust me, and the United States, where I'm from, not many people trust me. And the reason is there's too many rival ideas, too many people who have already built reputations on things like NPS working. It has its place, but it's time to move on. I want to tell you that here's how we got here. Here's how all of us got here, not just me. We had 7 inflection points leading up to what is now, in case you don't know, this is now the golden age of customer experience. I heard Ladislao say CX is showing up in the same rooms but dressed differently. That's right. Because it started here. 1913, we had the assembly line. In 1920, we had broadcast, which opened up everyone to messaging. 1964, the database got into the businesses. The call centers around 1967 started to take calls and provide answer every call at scale. 1995, e-commerce made it so we could sell anything to anyone. Whew. That's a lot that's just happened in that time period. In 2007, social media changed the world. I didn't know it at the time how important social media would be, but social media is in fact the anchor of customer experience. And I'll explain it to you. And now in 2023, AI models have come. Each of these eras provided an archetype, a disposition, someone who had to specialize in this at the expense of that. And if you take this, oh my, the archetype quiz is supposed to be there. I'll get you the archetype quiz at the end. But if you take your archetype, you will see which one of these eras influenced how you got your job. But basically, this is it all in a nutshell. The companies had the advantage in the beginning, but now the customer has the advantage. When customer voices went public and they escaped our intimate surveys, when they began to talk amongst themselves at scale, that is really when customer experience and the company started to drift rapidly apart. And I think I was having this conversation on Monday, but the other thing about customer experience is the call centers that are supposed to resolve some of these bad experiences, most of the problems come from the company. And when the public gets a hold of these things, it causes a lot more friction than it needs to. So what do we do with the golden age of CX? Here's what's going to happen to you, and take it for what you will. There will be the smart, there will be the lucky, and there will be the unlucky going forward. Now that we can measure trust, now that we know what people think at scale, and we can determine how to fix our customer experiences more quickly than ever, those who are smart about customer experience, those who measure the trust, they're going to be the ones who win. The smart ones are going to see 20 to 30% margin gains. The lucky will stay lucky and make it through. The unlucky will lose 35%. So, big promises. How do we provide such significant value? My very first podcast, I've done over 110 podcasts around the world now. I wasn't even going to be a podcaster. No intention. My podcast is called CX in the Wild because I just do authentic stuff. I have no real reason other than to talk to smart people about what they want to talk about in CX. And it all started with this guy named Mark Karchis in Dubai. I just happened to be there at this guy next to the bar, and he says, are you in CX? I'm like, yeah, you in CX? He says, yeah. And he says to me, he says, I know exactly how to solve most customer experience problems. And I was like, how? And he said, stop focusing on the customer. Stop making customers happy. This challenge of focusing on our existing customers, our surveys, is a small pool of 17% of people who answer surveys. They only give us 17% of the awareness we need to have, and they are all biased. They already have something in common with us. And so what I've been doing for the last year is focusing on the unknown customer. People who don't show up in our surveys or in our research. I'm listening to the internet at its whole across multiple languages, multiple ideas. And what I've come to find out is every country, every demographic, every idea travels more than you imagine. And it changes constantly. It's not enough anymore to hand over a report. If you tell somebody where something is in your business, you're already late because it's a moving function of your business. It's alive. So, what do I mean by that? You have to start being good at seeing the differences that are right in front of you and start looking at this 83%. I was doing some work in Dubai, and what's fascinating is if you have an idea in Dubai or an experience, a bad experience, great experience, terrible experience, in Dubai, amongst English speakers, it'll multiply at the rate of 5x. I'll tell five other English-speaking people. But in Arabic, that same thing travels at 65 times. That's an entirely different way to look at how we solve our customer experience problems. So in the banking industry there, we have to address each different language very much differently. It's not just enough to speak the language. You have to know how fast these ideas travel, how big a problem gets, and how fast. So how do we do it? So here's one way I do it. Each of these little dots on the screen represents when I took the first snapshot in 4 quarters or Q3 2025. I wanted to know, in the world of customer experience for us, what are the key ideas that are going to be shaping our conversations? And this was the initial measure. 1 quarter later, I could see the ideas start to migrate. Where were people getting confident? Where were people starting to build early trust? Where were people already starting to doubt? I looked at it again 1 quarter later. These ideas are still migrating up into this quadrant. So I look at this area of this quadrant area, and I say, okay, what do we do if we can see the ideas moving over time? Where do we want to stabilize the belief? Where do we want to advance what we can do to our advantage to make our companies better, our experiences better, and what are the things we need to defend? And so all this is to say, you can now measure trust, belief, and ideas. So this gets back to the archetypes, the unlucky, the lucky, and the smart. Over here, you have 3 layers that you have to deal with customers, beliefs, audiences. Over here, you have this surface layer, the slop, where everybody is sort of just, you hear about it and then you repeat it. Then here you have real conversations in the middle where people say, oh, I heard that, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Does X company really suck, or are they really that good? I went and had dinner there the other day. It was mid. Conversations are great to get into. Join the conversation, hop the trend, the kids like to say. But when you get a little bit further into the spectrum, you get the beliefs. And the companies that can understand the beliefs, where they are, and how they're moving will be the ones who win. I just recently moved to Ho Chi Minh City, and one of the things I found fascinating about Ho Chi Minh City, I learned there, is the neighboring countries like Korea, their fashion and their music influenced the middle class of Vietnam. And so when they hear a song or they see a style in Vietnam that's Korean, that idea, that product idea jumps over the border faster than supply chain or laws or government. Think about that, because I bet you that happens here too. I bet you it happens from Spain to Portugal. Ideas, how we communicate as humans, transfers faster than the economics, faster than the systems. We as people, our ideas still scale faster than your call center AI. They scale faster than the banking industry. They scale faster than anything else on earth, these ideas. If you're sitting in Ho Chi Minh City and you can see these ideas brewing before they get into Vietnam, because you can see where they're moving and you can get your supply chain up and running, you're making revenue that others cannot. This is what I'm talking about. Each of these little dots is one of the archetypes. We all were disbanded around the world, around our minds, different archetypes. But when we work together to close all the gaps on all the previous iterations of technology, we begin to be able to tap into these ideas at scale. And what do I mean by this? Here's a typical org chart. Each of the colored areas matches an archetype. You need your org chart. You need a reporting structure. You need a skeleton for your body to do what it needs to do. But all of these colors, all of these different archetypes are the organs and the soul of the business. And you need to find your people inside your organization. You need to unite. 3 archetypes isn't going to do it. 4 archetypes in your organization working together isn't going to get it anymore. There are companies, whether they have this little system or not, they're unifying their archetypes and they're going to be more successful. We have an opportunity to do it with each other, but you have an opportunity to do it in your company. This is where I'm going to get to the end here. We talked a lot about trust. It's so true. Trust is the new leading indicator. I like to say trust is the new GDP. Last year, I helped 150 mayors around the world start to build trust in their communities. Help them understand, what are my people in my country thinking? What ideas are really important to them? What ideas in my government are standing? How fast are the ideas in my government moving? How do we connect our people with our government? It's through trust, and I measured this for them. I like to measure it in my own way in 4 areas. And I often say, despite what everybody wants to say, there's really only 3 experiences. People can talk about touch points and the mechanics, but there's really 3 experiences that rule the planet. There's reputation, there's reach, and there's relationships. Your reputation, it comes from outside of your organization. It comes from that 83%. How well that reputation is scoring has everything to do with how many more customers you will reach. And the relationships that come out of your reputation and how you reach people is the sustainability of your business. These other things, economic, efficient, emotional, empathetic, these are the drivers for touch points. Every touch point that matters stands on these 4 concepts. I've seen many decks here all of you know this. These are my 4 E's, but you have your own. You know already that there's these pieces that fit together to fix, craft, create, improve touch points. Your overall business, your overall industry. Some industries you guys are in, not so great. Others better. Reputation, reach, relationships, these are the things that matter to me. You may name them something else in Portuguese, perhaps. So with that said, I want to say thank you for everything you do. I want to invite you to the Global CX Alliance. And I'm going to leave you with, what? All right, I don't know where the QR code is there, and it looks like we have an old deck up here. I will get you the QR code. Anybody who signs up today, who takes the archetype test, anyone who takes it, you'll join the Alliance, and I will send you a PDF of the book, Shrink to Human, that lays out all of these things. It's a blueprint, everything I've done, everything I've learned over the last few years into a book. And thank you, and I know you guys want to get to the game. My name is Dennis Wakabayashi, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Okay, so here we are. We are closing our day now. Thank you so much, all of you, for attending. Don't forget that after this session, we'll have our happy hour offered by our partners in Telsia. I want to say that since we started these activities here in Portugal, Telsia is with us since the first moment. In all the summits, they have been our partners, so I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very grateful for the drinks, so it will be fun for sure. So I would like only to do a wrap-up of the day, to say that was like we previewed in the morning. It was a very intense day, but I think it worth it because we had very different people from very different places. We had panels and keynotes. But when I look at it in overall, we had a lot of content. We had a lot of things that deal with us and that they are important for us in our, some of them they are, some of them they aren't, but we are always taking something with us. And when we plan these meetings is to take the time, as our time is very precious, at least for us to take as much as we can for our daily life. So that's what we tried here today. I would like to thank our colleagues that came from all over the world as well. So it's not easy to come from Mongolia, like Sod, to here, or from Vietnam, or even US, arriving yesterday or the day before, and to be here fresh during the day and yesterday as well, all day debating ideas. Because I tell you something, when you are one day in a room with all these contents, you get at the end of the day very tired, because you are. If you have a lot of breaks and stuff, you even relax. But we had a very short time for breaks today and even yesterday. And then what you get at the end of the day is a lot of information that you are processing is related. If you are presenting stuff about cars or surfboards, I will be watching it with, okay, some fun, and sometimes I'm disconnecting. But when you are presenting something that is related to what you do all day, from different perspectives, with different people, with different ways of expressing themselves, you get at the end of the day like fulfilled, like I feel now, but tired, right? So, okay, all right, so we have a date, okay? So next year, our summit, it will be from the 23rd to the 25th. We tested this year a new approach. It is a 3-day summit. This is the main day, but then we have one day before and one day after, with different types of work, because sometimes in events you want to try to put everything in the same stuff. So you want to have very deep conversations, but you also want to have hands-on stuff, like how to build things or how to map a journey. So we are putting this in 2 different days, more dedicated to specific points, and one day that is this one just to share contents and to share our knowledge and to be together. So let's close the day. Thank you so much for attending. We will share the presentations. We will share the photos. We will share, of course, the survey, like is mandatory in our practice. And we invite you for the happy hour next. I would like also to invite the team that worked in the CX team, the CX Summit team, to come to the stage, like we do every year, because most of the time I'm here, and or Cristiani also, she avoids, but she comes to stage, but there is a lot of work. There is a lot of work from the Media 9 team, unbelievable, the Brave Edge and the Dennis team, the Volt. They even convinced me to take this color, so see how these guys can be persuasive for a colorblind. So thank you, Cristiani, thank you, Zé Carlos. And Zé Carlos, you want to say something?
No.
No? You want to go to watch the game? Okay, fine, fine. Thank you so much.